What is up, everybody? We're back over here on the NFC North Roundtable. We got a new title. I didn't do that. Bass actually suggested this one, so I was like, that's pretty good, man. I will use that. But now we're back, man. Week 18, final week of the regular season is in the books. Crazy week. These were a lot of ugly games coming into it. But, man, one bar, Bass wasn't here last week. But I'll just lay it out there. We all took the Bears this weekend.
I know. I went back and watched, and I wrote it all down. I'm like, yeah, they're going to look like real idiots. And I'm like, yeah, well,
geniuses,
okay.
Man.
Genius. Well, who said 42-0, though? 42-10 was Dion. Come on, brother.
That was okay. Well,
there we go. There we go.
Right there. But then also, right there, what was it? Naked jumping jacks by one bar if we won.
I thought it was 42-10. Was the
then why did it's naked jumping jacks next to you?
I blame the one who wrote it down. Nobody wants to see that.
No.
I mean, I will.
Well, you guys are all losers.
I'm game.
I'm the winner here.
I'll do it. I mean, subscriber count might go down a bit.
Or up. Or up.
Yeah, or up. You never know what people are into.
Positive thinking.
Any publicity is good publicity, right?
Members only. That's what members
only. only round table, not only fans. Here we go.
Oh, Jesus. Great start.
Right. Well, now, hey, before we get into it, I always got to give a shout out to BetUS, man. YouTube 150, that's their code. 150% deposit match on your first deposit, your sign-up bonus. 125% on the next two deposits. Currently, that's the offer, man. I believe that's still the offer they're giving. So check out BetUS. Look it up. Go to their website. You know what I mean? Don't mess with the app. Go to the website. Works a lot better for me. But over here right now, we got the Lions all ready for the Wild Card weekend. And I'm going to pick a game that we don't play. We could talk about that. I mean, we do got the early lines, though, because we do got – what do we got? Green Bay plus 4.5. Bass, just real quick on this one looks interesting to me because to me that feels like one of the lines where it's like it just kind of feels like a pick 'em in a way to me. I feel like it's like
it was a little weird. Like I was on Roundtable on SmackDown yesterday against the Eagles creator, and I was like, if I was an Eagles fan, I'd feel a little disrespected just because like it's something weird here. Like you're kind of looking at this and you're going, what is Vegas thinking here? And I'm not saying the Packers can't be in a competitive game because I think they will be. But just for example, last year, the 7-seed Packers heading into Dallas, they were 7-point underdogs. So, what do you consider the Eagles? Is this a Jalen Hurts thing? Well, probably not because he just started practicing today as well. So, I think everyone knows Jalen Hurts is going to play. I think it's just a testament that Vegas does see Packers as a more competitive football team than most might believe. But it is a closer line than I thought it would be.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's moved much this week. I think it's
like 3.5 to 4.5. I think that was a start was 3.5, maybe. I think, and then Watson going down, maybe it has something to do with it. I don't know.
Yeah, that is a big. Well, and then we actually do have officially a pick 'em. We have the Vikings Rams. I mean, early one bar. That's crazy. That feels like that's a pick 'em. That feels disrespectful. If I'm being honest. I mean, but I don't know. I mean, I guess you're on the road, so is that not disrespectful? I mean, you guys did lose to him. What do you think?
I actually think that's pretty fair. Pretty fair. I mean, I'd love to say we should be favored by a nice 4 points, but in LA, I already lost to them. We'll talk about it, but I'm not overly thrilled to be playing the Rams.
Yeah, see, that it is an unfortunate draw. You have 14 games. Like, all right, you go to LA for his games. That's great.
That's not a road game. That ain't a road game. Not a road game.
I'm here to talk to my people. I heard you. What are you saying?
All right, well, to tell the people, because I know this is the game you're looking forward to. Washington, Tampa Bay, it's +3. What do you like early in this one, Nick?
Since I'm going back to Washington, the Commanders. That's what they're going with.
Yeah, you set them up on that one, man.
You did.
You set me up real good for that one, Dion.
Well done, Nick. Hey, man, shout out to BetUS. YouTube 150, that's the code. All right, we got to dive into these. I mean, actually, well, let's start with some news first. Let's start with some news because I don't think there's a ton here, but I do want to go to Nick first because, hey, last game of the season. Before we get into the recap of this game, you guys are hot. You guys are bringing in a lot of people. Like, your list of interviews is massive, but
16,
nobody in person.
Baby.
It's all virtual. What the heck's going on there? And who's your preference right now, Nick?
So according to reports, the reason why they're doing it virtual is because they're respecting the only people that they could do in person would be Vrabel and Pete Carroll, right? Because those guys obviously aren't in the playoffs, but most of the coaches that the Bears are talking to at the moment, they're either not sure of, like Arizona's defensive or offensive coordinator, the Giants offensive coordinator. But then like Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, the Bears actually said they're respecting that they're in the playoffs. They don't want to take time away from them preparing for that. So they thought it would just be better if like, hey, let's save a couple hours and have them be virtual. The Mike Vrabel one, though, I would have flown him in. Thought that one was a little bit out there is considering the fact that he is open for the Patriots position. But the Bears did complete interviews with Mike Vrabel today, Drew Pretzker, the offensive coordinator for the Arizona Cardinals. And then tomorrow they have Pete Carroll, they have Joe Brady, they have Aaron Glenn on Saturday, along with Ben Johnson on Saturday. So, and then Mike Pretzker, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, sorry, but just ran off the train to get on the show. So if the Bears, they have 15 guys so far that are interviewing for the head coaching position. And what's great is that they're keeping a ton of their options open, but their second rounds will be in person, depending on the availability of the coach.
That's what I was laughing.
Come on, Ed. Damn it, Ed. 30, man. We're real. Let's go.
I didn't see it.
I do want to ask though, like, are you on the train of like, and if you guys have any questions, just go ahead. My curiosity is like, are you on the train of like, it can't be a coordinator, like it has to be someone with experience?
No, I mean, I'm open to the idea of a coordinator. It depends on who it is. Like, I really like Aaron Glenn to be. But both Detroit coordinators I really like. I mean, either or. They've done a fantastic job this season. Ben Johnson's had a little bit longer of a history there, but like Anthony Weaver from the Miami Dolphins, only 2-year defensive coordinator, no offensive coordinator for the Giants, 32nd in the league, no Arizona Cardinals, 11th, no. So I prefer a head coach. Like, I like Pete Carroll a lot. I like Mike Vrabel a lot. The Cowboys obviously rejected interviewing Mark McCarthy, so it sounds like he's staying in Dallas. But right now, my number one is Pete Carroll. Like, I know that one's a little bit out there. Like, oh, he's a little older. He's 73.
How old is
he?
He? 73. Jeez.
But he's like the youngest 73-year-old you've ever met. Guy's, parasailing. He's like power cleaning. He's running like 10 miles a day. Like, overall, like the guy's in better shape than most 20-year-olds. So definitely a big Pete Carroll fan at the moment in regard to that situation. But Mike Vrabel's close second in regards to head coaches. But if I'm going coordinator, Ben Johnson, then Aaron Glenn.
Yeah, that's interesting, man.
What do you feel about that, Dion?
I mean, I don't feel good about it. Look, I don't think Ben's going to go there. I think Ben wants to go there, but I think your front office is going to keep him out of there, which is amazing. Like, I'm at that point. I just think that's what's going to happen. But you tell me I'm wrong, Nick, because
I hope you're wrong. That's all I'm going to say. I hope you're wrong.
I don't think he's. I think he wants to be there. You know what I mean?
I don't want Brian Flores. No, do not. He could stay in Minnesota. Really? I do not want him. Yeah, no problem. No problem, Bar. He can stay there.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
But you would trade
over
for
Chicago,
Kevin
I guess.
What'd you say?
You'd trade for Kevin O'Connell, maybe? You'd try to make that happen?
Oh,
you guys
bet
are trying to trade for a coach.
No, Kyle Shanahan. Talk to me nice.
All right, but I'll move to Bass. Bass, look, man, y'all playoff game this weekend, and the last time you were in the spot, you handled business, okay? So I'm looking at these injuries, and that's all it was for the first couple days. It was like, well, who's going to play in this one? But quarterbacks look good. Is there anything more than just a quarterback situation, though, we should have our eyes on?
So obviously the Christian Watson news is, pretty bad for this offense, and I'll dive down into it more when we go over the game review there. But Jordan Love's good to go. I mean, he kind of threw up some smoke today. Like, yeah, we'll see. Like, but Matt LaFleur definitely told him to say that, because every time there's an injury concern, like Matt LaFleur is always just like, yeah, we'll see. Like, every time he never gives anything. So Love after the game Sunday, I think said like, yeah, I'm going to play, but LaFleur is probably like, hey, tone it down a bit. Just, say we're limited and you'll see. So that Love will be good to go. Outside of that, some key names returned to practice today. Evan Williams returned. He hasn't practiced in like 2 or 3 weeks. Same with Quay Walker. He hasn't practiced in like 2 or 3 weeks. So if we get both of these guys back, I mean, there's 2 starters on the defense that, we've been missing heavily. Edgerrin Cooper has definitely taken a step up, but it would be really nice to get Quay Walker back to kind of take away Isaiah McDuffie's snaps. I feel like he struggled heavily. Romeo Doubs will be returning. We expect him to be available in the Bears game. Woke up with the sickness on Saturday. He said he's just glad it wasn't worse today. He pretty much said, I can breathe. I'm glad it wasn't worse. So he got a full participant today. He's good to go for the upcoming game. And then one that's, a little under the radar that maybe non-Packers fans aren't really looking at is Brenton Cox Jr. Came back to practice today. He didn't practice all last week and missed that Bears game. And he's actually been, an up and rising edge defender for this team opposite Rashawn Gary. And he's kind of been our best option there. So it's going to be huge to, get pressure, of course, on Jalen Hurts. So the injury front looking positive right now, outside of the obvious losing Christian Watson. That sucks. And then Jair obviously being out for the foreseeable future as well. Other players that we at least expected back, they're coming back.
And then I just wanted to ask, like, Edgerrin Cooper. I mean, after that Vikings game, that dude was insane. And I was like, this guy, it's a little bit saddening because this guy looked insane, but like, what's that growth look like to you? Like, how have you seen it take off?
It's crazy. And I'm probably really biased with it just because he was my most mocked player to the Green Bay Packers. And I was like continuing to do like film reviews on this guy. And I mocked him to the Packers in the second round multiple times and in my final mock draft. So, looking at him, I loved him as a player at Texas A&M, what he could bring to a defense. And I feel like everything that was in his draft profile, he's brought to the Packers defense in year one. He has struggled a slight bit in coverage, which is to be expected into, a new defense first year as a linebacker. But man, again, little bit of a biased take here, but he reminds me of someone that could turn into like a Micah Parsons type of role player. Like he quite literally is that quick on the edge. And I know he's an off-ball linebacker, but so is Micah. And not saying they shouldn't keep Coop at the linebacker, but I guess my main point there is he's versatile and this guy can get after the passer. The speed that he can use to get by linemen blocking, like get around blockers, is unreal. I mean, it's something I haven't seen at the linebacker position for the Packers probably since I've been watching the Packers, right? Like we've had some names in here like AJ Hawk, Nick Barnett, some others, but nothing like Edgerrin Cooper in terms of like speed and athleticism.
Yeah, that dude, he looked insane. And that was like, man, I don't think we have that guy. So I was like, okay, I want things like that to happen, but man. All right, one bar. I'll move to you. Before we get into this one, just Brian Flores, it was already brought up here, but that's what I was going to ask you about because we're hearing his name come up a little bit, and then the whole Kevin O'Connell thing was kind of random, so I don't think anything's going to go down there. Then we got the McCarthy stuff. Like, this whole thing feels kind of weird, but, like, what do you think is going to happen with Brian Flores? Like, if you were to predict right now, do you think he stays or do you think he's gone after this season?
Man, you see it like he's a top 3 candidate out there. I mean, but like, will he actually get hired? I mean, really, anybody's just guessing right now. I mean, he's going to interview with the Jets. Josh McCown as well, our quarterback coach, sounds like he's going to interview with the Jets. Ryan Grigson, the front office, is going to interview with the Jets. The Jets might just have our whole damn team, and then maybe they sign Sam Darnold. We'll see. But as far as Brian Flores, said it's just a guessing game, man. It just sounds like you listen to somebody, he's burned a bunch of bridges. Nobody's going to want him, but he's coming in for an interview. So I wouldn't be surprised if he was hired. I won't be surprised if he's back. If he doesn't get any sniffs this time around, it's like, is it ever going to happen? I mean, how can you not get a coaching job? I mean, how many spots are open out there and he's not going to get one? I mean, based off of ability, he deserves to be a head coach. Clearly, something behind the scenes, which we all know, and maybe even more, is stopping him from doing that. I would expect him to get a ton of interviews, but I expected him to get some last year. I don't even think he got a single interview last year, so I guess he made a step. But if I had to put my money on it, I would honestly say he's going to be back.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that feels like the weird thing with this coaching stuff is like you'll have a guy, we're seeing it this year, it's like silent. And if you give it another year, it's like, wait a minute, maybe that guy was kind of good. And then here they come again. It's like, okay, it's like the longer you wait, these guys add value for some reason. But this to me was the other interesting thing too, because like I've heard this, like the whole Sam Darnold thing. I think we've all been buying in the last few weeks if we haven't already. But then the last game happens. And now does it feel like you feel like it changes the spot for Darnold depending on how he plays this next game and the whole idea of just bringing him back, the franchise tag, does that change depending on how this next game goes now?
I mean, we'll talk about the crap show he put out there on the game, but like, I don't think so. I mean, look at the whole body of work. I mean, you can't just look at this and be like, all right, look at what he did all damn year. If you're going to bring it down to 2 games, then you just didn't want to bring him back anyways. Like if the Vikings end up not bringing him back, it's not because of how this ends. I mean, they have behind the scenes, they got to have their mind set up, whether it's, hey, we're rolling JJ McCarthy. Let's see how Sam Darnold, how far he takes us. These 2 games aren't going to do it. Fan base, obviously, we're going to be hopping all over him. Like, he can't win in the big game. He crapped the bed at the end. We'll see. I mean, even if he wins, if we beat the Rams and make a little bit of a push, I still think their mind's made up 100%.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I'm interested on that one because you know how it goes, man. Like the outside looking in, nobody was buying into Darnold all year. Except for Bass. Bass was on it before the season started. But I'm at the point now where I'm bought in. Like,
Vikings fans are bought in. I think, Kevin O'Connell can't say enough about this guy. Kwesi can't say enough about this guy. They love the dude, and he's overachieved. He's made them look like geniuses. So it's nothing but love. It's just the Vikings. I mean, shit, I was watching the game last week. People were saying to put Nick Mullins in. I was like, I had to end my live like short. It was just like, it was getting so bad. Like Nick Mullins put in.
Welcome to my
bench
life.
our kicker. Like, Jesus, man, this is brutal. This is Sam Darnold. Dude threw 35 touchdowns and quarterback rating over 110 games. You gotta one game. Come on.
This is like when like fans complain, like Baz, for example. I'm just like saying how bad NFL fans have gotten. Like people were coming for LaFleur's head. I'm like, the things I would do to have him as my head coach, I would eat glass for a year. Like
it's social media and the short attention span. Everyone wants instant.
We all have ADD now.
Literally everyone. Definitely. I'm here kicking my leg under the desk. I promise you.
I'm gonna fix that. That's what I'm gonna say. Here we go. Okay.
I will say one more. I was trying to pull off a raid while y'all were live. That's why I like popped in the chat for a second. And dude, I couldn't do it. It was like subscribe only. I'm like, oh dang. I'm like, all right, everybody's just like subscribing. Wait a second. And I was like, oh, I don't know how long it is. So
I went back to the stream because I went to check out if you did that, and I saw some guys like, hey, I just subbed to his channel quick, tell him they suck, and then I unsubscribed. I'm like, yeah, let's go.
Hey, it's all about the algorithm, baby. It's all about the algorithm.
Let's go.
Hey, listen, if you're tuned in right now and you aren't subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can get in that chat right now. That's all I'm going to say. Come on.
Yeah, you got to go sub only, man.
Oh, yeah, I do it because then when the bots come in, I'm like, haha, you subscribe. Like, it sucks.
Loser.
I definitely did. I appreciate y'all. No, Nick, this is Nick. Handle business, Nick. You guys handle business. 24-22. This is your stage, buddy. Go ahead.
Wait, hold up. Are we talking about the Bears game?
Yeah, just tell us what went down.
All right. So this is what happens when you don't have Matt Eberflus as your head coach. You have Cairo Santos kick from the correct hash, and he walks off to the field, and he's running in trying to do a Lambo leap, and you got Karens pushing him out. You got Karada Bagaji trying to jump in. He can't do it. You got Jonathan Owens doing a Lambo leap. He gets hurt doing it. Clearly, the Bears should not be Lambo leaping. It was absolutely pathetic. And Jonathan Owens actually was a Green Bay Packer, so he should have been doing that. Yeah. Crazy. But this game, so shout out to my man Josh Blackwell for pulling off the fake Johnny Knox punt return to start things off for the Bears. Absolutely sick. Great tribute. And I texted Josh after the game, I'm like, did you know that was like the Johnny Knox play? He goes, it's actually called the Johnny Knox play at at House Hall. So thought that was super cool. Got things going there. I thought the defense played pretty darn well, if you ask me. All things considered, like we did go against Jordan Love, Christian Watson. Like we were against the starters for a while. And before those guys got hurt, like the Bears were holding their own pretty darn well. We were up 14-3 at one point. And then obviously the Packers, started to get a flow going, started to get things going. But the Kevin Byard hit on Malik Lewis, holy Toledo. He brought the boom. Like literally thought of the Costco guys. Went like Kevin Byard brought the boom. You know what I mean? Like absolutely demolished him. Got the fumble right there.
This is what happens when Nick gets a win. This is what happens.
Yeah, we go crazy. I'm back, baby.
Man. Let him have it. Let him have it.
Let me have this moment. With 5-12, 10th overall pick. It's a 15 head coach interviews. We love it. We live for this in Chicago. Bunch of losers. But so overall, like the Bears game, I thought that Caleb Williams, he passed for, less than 175 yards, but I thought that he played a good game. He had one passing touchdown. The DJ Moore touchdown was absolutely sick. DeAndre Swift almost reached 1,000 yards rushing, but he broke 1,000 yards total from scrimmage on the season. But Caleb Williams is the first Bears quarterback to break 4,000 yards of total offense in a season, which honestly super impressive considering he was sacked the most in the NFL. He had third stringers most of the season out there blocking for him. Clearly the Bears have to go out and get some offensive linemen, but they got things done in Lambeau. Our first win against the Packers in 11 meetings, first win since 2018, first win at Lambeau, I believe in 10 years, Baz. I believe that's, what was the stat line I saw?
Probably Lambeau. Yeah. I just knew the win thing was since 2018, but I don't know.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so Jay Cutler was our quarterback the last time we won it. That tells you.
Love Jay.
So
love Jay.
Smoking Jay, good guy. But he had it was shorter than the amount of time that he got a DUI than the Bears won at one point. So good guy, Jay Cutler. Love that guy. But at the end of the day, Bears got it done. I mean, like we had the whole chat rooting for us. One bar still has to do some naked jumping jacks. Sure, his family's going to love that one. Probably going to have to call DCFS on that one. But anyway, overall, great stuff by the Bears. We're super happy. That's how we ended the season because that was the Bears Super Bowl. And we can say we beat Green Bay. So, Baz, I'm sure you were a respectful gentleman about it.
I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you. Look, it would be a lot worse if I wasn't coming on here and at least hearing you have some joy here.
I would also say I was thinking about it. I was like, listen, if the Green Bay Packers lose, that means Baz can go to their playoff game because it's closer to his house.
And I am.
And there you are. See,
so the Bears. That's true, but the Cowboys didn't win either way. So let's not give the Bears too much credit there.
Yeah, just trying to get a little bit there,
Just
let me have this moment.
Hey, it's a Super Bowl, and I'm glad you guys got it. It had to end at some point. It was an awful game. I mean, let's be completely honest. At least
I don't think so.
From my standpoint, this was a god awful game. I mean, there's just
from your standpoint, you're a loser.
Yep. from my standpoint, I'm going to a game this week, and that's my standpoint. But you guys were shitting on the Packers left and right. I couldn't even defend myself. Because I watch it back. I'm like, can't even defend myself. Well, then that happened. So it's like, okay, well, they're kind of on point there, but at least not with their score predictions. I think Dion 42-10. Yeah.
Well, the closest one was
I think it was one bar.
One bar got 23-17. So he was a little bit
but
off.
I want to start off by this, man. Like, there's a lot of just a lot of situations in this game where I was sitting here going, like, what are we doing? Not only from like a player perspective, but a Matt LaFleur perspective. To start the game, to see Christian Watson go out there with like a chunky metal knee brace around his right knee, like it just made no sense in a quote unquote meaningless game, right? Like without the Cowboys winning, it is a quote unquote meaningless game, at least for the Packers seeding wise in the playoffs. And Watson, didn't practice Wednesday and Thursday, limited Friday. And LaFleur said it was a lot on Watson, like he wanted to play. And I get that. You're a competitor. You want to play, especially a rivalry game. But to see him walk out there with a chunky metal knee brace on the right knee, I was like, this just is a recipe for a disaster. And it was. My speculation is, when you have an injury on a lower leg, you're going to compensate on the other leg. And that's why I think it happened. Obviously, Christian Watson has a lot of injury history, but I doubt the metal knee brace helped in terms of him tearing his ACL. So it was the opposite knee. It wasn't the one with the knee brace. So that was a big issue there. Outside of that, man, it's also confusing because it's like, Josh Jacobs only played a quarter, and then they took him out. So it's like, why even put Christian Watson in the game? Like Aaron Mosby outsnapped Rashawn Gary. There's a lot of stuff in this game that's confusing. Jordan Love gets hurt. I think if it was, playoff implication type of game, like, hey, like last year, you got to win the game to get into the playoffs, Love would have came back in. But, I was okay with what I saw from Malik Willis. There's a couple times where he seemed flustered back there. Like you said, the Byard hit. If you actually go watch the all-22 footage of the Byard hit, the video glitches out the moment he hits Malik Willis. Like, it's like perfectly timed.
It was that strong.
It's actually hilarious if you go watch it. Like, I was doing my film review, and it was my way of coping, just laughing at certain things like that. But, 10 for 13 Malik Willis, 136 yards. The Packers running game was definitely a success in this game, but they set themselves up for failure being down 14-3, where the Bears only had 10 yards on offense at that point, literally 10 yards on offense due to the like you said, the Johnny Knox punt return. I still had, PTSD from that, watching our punter Tim Matsay just openly dive at Johnny Knox. I was like, oh, here it is again. And then also the fumble, Jaden Reed. It's like, dude, we keep fumbling the football, giving the ball back to these other teams. It was a rough game. And just to wrap things up, I mean, as if it couldn't get any worse. I mean, we got to talk about the fourth quarter and what the Packers did. I mean, you guys tried to give us that game, the DJ Moore fumble in your territory. And right then I'm like, the Bears did it again. They just handed us this football game, just like they did technically last time we played, with not being on the correct hash, like you said, driving that kick low, allowing us to pressure. Yeah, you get the gist. I thought it would be like the same thing. Like, wow, it's over. It's like, I think it was like a minute 30 left. Then the Packers proceed to go hurry up offense. Well, the Bears have one timeout. So they take a snap. I think the first play was a throw. I can actually bring it up on my screen here. Yeah. So the first play was a short throw to Malik Heath on the left. They go hurry up, 2nd and 4, hand it off to Emmanuel Wilson, hurry up again on 3rd and 2, hand it off to Emmanuel Wilson. And then at that point, there's a minute 5 left, and it ticks down to 58 seconds. And then all of a sudden in the broadcast, oh, there's been a timeout. I'm like, okay, that's fair. Like, the Bears just took their timeout. No, the Packers took a timeout at 58 seconds on 4th and 4. You guys lost Eberflus. I think somehow he snuck on our sideline and made that call because that's the only
apparently Luke
explanation I have
Getsy
for it.
was at camp all week for you guys.
He's
maybe...
been there for months. He's been there for months.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah, but that I wouldn't be surprised. I think it was hip. I think the problem was it was Matt LaFleur before that down thought, hey, we're going to go for it because this is a 55-yarder in the cold, right? Let's take the timeout. Let's get a good play call. Shit. We should probably kick the field goal. I think that's what happened, but it still makes absolutely no sense to take a timeout at 58 seconds. Not only that, run hurry up before that, right? Yep. If you don't run hurry up, this clock's probably at 30-something seconds when the Bears take a timeout, and then you run one more play on 3rd down, and you could take it to 3 seconds, kick a field goal for the win. Plain and simple. That was achievable with the situation the Packers were given. But no, you give them 54 seconds left, and then the Bears try to screw it up one more and doing a reverse kickoff and get stopped at their 20-yard line. And then what do? Horse collar tackle on Caleb Williams from Kingsley.
That was dirty.
It was. I'm like, what are you doing? First off, I watched all 22 on that, and I'm like, oh, maybe he was just trying to make a play. Caleb would have taken off if there was a wide open receiver down the field. No, they were all locked up. All the receivers are locked up. Caleb maybe had a running lane from maybe maximum 7 yards. So that happened. And then with the field goal, that was already, extremely infuriating. And then the defensive play to finish off this game, man. You guys come out in that weird stack, right? And we come out and press man. And at that point, we're like, okay, this looks good. We're not 3 deep. We take a timeout. Oh, great. Okay. Maybe they're cooking up something here. Maybe they didn't like the look. What do we come out in? 3 deep, safeties 25 yards off the football, 3-man rush because that's just the best thing to do. Carrington Valentine.
I was like, what are you doing?
Dude, I was about to scream into a pillow. Like when I saw that, the way they were lining up before it even happened, dude.
Did you?
After,
okay
yeah. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
No. Carrington Valentine lined up on DJ Moore outside shade, which is what he was told to do because right off the snap, you see him kind of flip his hips, cover the outside sideline like a cover 3 outside shade corner would do. And then the middle of the field's wide open without a defender within 20 yards of it. It made no sense. There's 15 seconds left on the clock. Matt LaFleur said after the game, our cutoff is 12 seconds for teams to get a play done, go up and spike it 10 plus yards. So did someone tell him the wrong time? I really can't explain it. I have no idea. And that's all I have to say. And I'm really, really, really hoping that abysmal performance by not only Matt LaFleur, but just this entire coaching staff isn't repeated this week. It was terrible.
You know what? I got to say one thing because my man Relentless Mike is in the chat right now. And I didn't know this till after the game that we have the same exact record against the North this year. I was like, what? And I don't know if you saw, Baz. I posted it on my Instagram, but it was John Daly smoking a cigarette, and it says Bears that are 1-5, and it's Tiger Woods walking up looking all classy. And when I posted it, I was like, I wonder if Baz is going to reply to this. And I saw you saw it, and I was like, did he see it?
I'm not going to like it. I'm not going to like it.
But I was dying,
I'm just going to swipe away. All right, cool. That's cool.
Probably got unfollowed, too. It's okay.
Yeah, maybe soon. Keep talking.
Yeah. But hey, chopper talk, you know what I mean? But hey, listen, it was because last year we ended week 18 in Green Bay and lost 17-9. And the fact that we came back and we won in Green Bay to end just a very disappointing season after losing 10 in a row. I think it was good. I mean, you guys still won the playoffs, or you guys are in the playoffs, which I think is great. But we'll see what ends up happening with you guys. Come on, Sunday.
Sunday. What would the Bears pick have been if they lost?
9. So we only lost one.
Okay.
Like everyone's like, okay. So I'm about to say that. Like there were some people that were watching my show and have commented like, oh my God, total Bears move. Like move back in the draft. I was like, guys, it's one freaking spot.
Yeah, it was
you
like
gotta
5
learn
to
how
10.
to win.
Yeah.
Who the fuck cares? Anyway, I'm just over it. Anyway, let's go to the other game because we only got 15 minutes. So I want to hear about the game of the year.
Game of the year.
Well, the hype was game of the year, but you know what? Aaron Glenn just tough guy to go against.
Put on a little bit of show. I'll let Wombar talk on that. I want to hear what Wombar has to say about the situation. Wombar, I'll let you go first. What do you think about the game?
We're going Vikings Lions.
Well, I mean,
game of the year. Yeah,
game of the year. Walking into it, game of the year.
Yeah.
It was the game of the year, man. It was.
It
I
was
can't
the game.
deny that. It was the game of the year, man. Everything was on the line. Everything was on the line, baby. And Dion, hey, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and make excuses and sit here and cry in my beer. I mean, the Lions took care of business. They did what I wanted the Vikings to do, 31-9. There was some good. There was some ugly. I mean, I got to start with the good for the Vikings. I mean, defensively, 31-9 doesn't do it justice as far as how good this Vikings defense actually played. I mean, they came out and balled out. Jared Goff throwing a couple picks. We were stopping you guys. I mean, you guys actually punted the have you guys punted the last couple weeks? I mean, when you punted right out of the gate, I'm like, shit, you know what? I'm liking this. This is a good sign. Lions coming out punting. I mean, the defense was there. Brian Flores brought his A game. I mean, it was 7-6 going into the half until our kicker kicked it out of bounds and gave you a free 3 points. So what was it? It was 9-6 going into the half. And obviously I'm going to talk about the offense and Sam Darnold, but like I'm sticking on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, a couple of sacks, like I said, a couple of interceptions. They were handing it to our offense to say, go do stuff, go score some points. We're holding the Lions to 7 points or whatever it was in the first. It's like we're doing our job, and offensively they were just doing nothing. We all saw it. And then just sticking on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, even at the end of the third quarter, it was 17-9. It was 17-9. And Andrew Van Ginkel, who made Jahmyr Gibbs absolutely crap his pants on that one hit, by the way. That was one of the most beautiful hits I've ever seen. Andrew Van Ginkel's the man. But Andrew Van Ginkel, right in his hands, that is one interception away from getting the 2-point conversion at 17-7. When he dropped that, just like, it's done. Like, I knew it was done, and Gibbs, I think, scored. I don't know if it was the next play, but you guys went and scored. And after that, I mean, time of possession, the defense could only hold on for so long. It was 36-24 as far as time of possession. In the fourth quarter, everything just went off the rails. The defense was gassed, and that's when you guys just put the foot on the gas and said it's over. I mean, defensively, they were spent. Offensively, we're doing nothing. But defensively, again, 31 points on the scoreboard, but that defense played damn good through 3.5 quarters. Well, 3 quarters. But we got to talk the offense because that's the issue. The offense was something that I and no Vikings fan has seen yet this year. No Vikings fan has seen whatever that was. And I'm not going to say the Vikings crapped the bed. I'm going to give the love to the Lions because obviously it has a lot to do with Aaron Glenn's defense and why they look so bad. They were bringing the house. Sam Darnold was uncomfortable the whole time, and that's a big testament to the Lions defense. But Sam Darnold, man, I mean, it's easy just to pile on him and say he had a horrible game. I mean, obviously, it was his worst game of the season. It was the worst game of the season. You can look at it. Was the stage too big for him? Was it just a bad game? Was he that hyped up? I mean, he was overthrowing dudes by 15, 20 yards. It was crazy to look at what he was doing compared to what he's been doing all year, because all year he's been throwing dimes. He's been throwing some beautiful passes. And what we saw was just mind-boggling. After the first couple of drives, it's like our defense is going to have to score. Our defense is going to have to score, put points on the board because they're not doing it. What were we, 0 for 4, 0 for 5, whatever it was in the red zone? Couldn't do anything. But the way I look at it, and this is because I drink a lot of purple Kool-Aid and I'm mildly delusional, like the passes Sam Darnold was missing and the guys he was looking at that were wide open and he was just opting not to throw, like Addison was wide open for the touchdown. Yeah. Like they were there. Like the plays were there. We had the chance. The touchdowns were there. He just couldn't put the ball in their hands. It's like I almost look at that as a win opposed to him throwing interceptions or them just being covered up and not being able to make a play. So at one side of it, it's kind of infuriating because the points were there to put on the board. We should have scored way more than 9 points. On the other side, it's like, all right, Darnold just had such an off game. It just wasn't happening. So whatever it was, we're going to find out next week real quick if Sam Darnold, that stage is too big for him when we're playing on Monday night against the Rams. If he goes out and does that again, people chirping saying, all right, maybe the stage is too big, playoffs, when it matters, he craps the bed. That'll be fair at that point. I'm still not jumping off the Sam Darnold train or what he did all year, but long story short, offense is just something the Vikings we have not seen all year. Again, I'll give love to the Lions defense for doing that. Defensively, they did more than enough to win this game. They just didn't put it together. And then to put a bow on it, Will Reichert, a kicker who has actually been really damn good this year, ever since he's come back from his injury, there's no excuse kicking that thing out. I mean, that thing went out at like the 10-yard line. Like, it wasn't even close. And the kick before that, it almost went out. It was a blow, man. It sucked. I wanted that first round bye, but I'm moving on. Lions got it. They deserved it. And we're moving on to the Rams, but it should have been a better game. It wasn't.
Way to be a good sport about it, One Bar.
Hey, what am I going to say? We lost the Lions twice this year. They earned it, man. They earned it.
Listen,
they earned it. I wanted it, but
I just wanted to give you a little pat on the back. You lost this week. Like, you guys give me pats on the back when I was on my 10-game losing streak. I just wanted to say good job, but you don't have to take it if you don't want to.
No, I want to. Last time the Vikings lost, they went on a 9-game winning streak, Theon. So thank you. You gave us a little slap to the bare ass here. We're gonna go on a run.
Hey, One Bar for you. Guess what? The Bears beat the Rams. So what does that tell you? You have a chance. There's a chance. There's a chance.
Thank you.
One more, man, I could feel the frustration when I jumped into your chat at halftime. It's like I said, I was trying to do the little raid thing, and I jumped in, and you could feel the energy. Like, oh, this is not great energy right now. I got it, and then the second half kind of just continued exactly what you were concerned about. It was like the exact same thing. I'll say this real quick. I mean, it does kind of feel like we may end up playing here in 2 weeks. We'll see, though. The Packers could throw that off, but that's what it feels like. They might bass. But, like, okay, just from the start here. Like, first off, I thought that touchdown drive that we had in the third quarter was everything that made it 17-9. And then the interception that was almost an interception that wasn't because he dropped it. That was like, I don't think I've had that feeling in a while. Outside of, like, the nerves that you have, like, on a final drive of the game. Like, that was the one where it was like my heart kind of dropped, man. I felt like frozen for a second. I was like, oh my gosh, he just picked that off. Like, that is like all of a sudden, and you're feeling kind of comfy. It's the first time in the game I felt a little bit comfy, and it was like, oh, this is actually about to be a game again. That was crazy. After that, I was relieved, and honestly, I didn't feel the tension anymore. It was just like, okay, he dropped that. To your point, it's like, this thing's over. As soon as he dropped that, this thing's over. But right there, that was like, let's make this a game. I would also say, I don't think that LA, just quick side, I don't think LA is going to be able to play a game like that. I thought that was One Bar, you know what that was? And this is what I'm thinking, right? So, we did our preview for the first time we played the Vikings, and we talked about the Justin Jefferson stopper. And, he wasn't playing in this game. So I was like, all right, hey, how's this going to play out? Crazy, we have 2 Justin Jefferson stoppers. And the second one might be better, One Bar. I mean, I'm just...
Robinson, man, could they stop talking about him during the game? They were talking about him.
Cereal box.
Man, that guy, I'm over that guy, man.
They just showed old battles. They're like, man, we used to battle and stuff. I'm like, oh, I was getting hyped after the game, One Bar. I was like, oh, snap, this thing really was that hype. Like 35 yards. One Bar, I don't know. Do you know, like, the last time he's honestly had a stat line like that, though? Because that feels like it never happens with Justin Jefferson. Like, that
what was his final stat line?
I think he had like 35 receiving yards.
Dude, but those couple of drops in the beginning,
Jefferson had a drop, and then that wide open touchdown
in the end zone.
Where he overthrew him. It's like Darnold made Amik Robinson look good.
Okay,
it's not the other way around. Well, he had a couple good plays, man.
Happened.
That dude's like 3'6".
I will say about Amik, I will say about Amik, good player, right? But Lions fans were after I think it was the second Packers game. They're all like, "Yeah, man, he shut down Jaden Reed. Like, that guy shut him down." I watched the tape. Jaden Reed had two routes against him. Two routes against him. And he was open on both of them. So I don't want to hear it. I'm not saying he's not a good player, but like, watch the tape.
I actually do like him. I loved him coming to the draft. For some reason, I got a hard on for small corners, and he was my guy that year. But anyways, yeah, Jefferson, you're right. No, Jefferson is in a weird funk, dropping balls. It wasn't good. It was good.
No, I had to throw that in there. But this was like the one time that I feel like I could really look at a game and just be like, the quarterback looks like he's flustered. Like, he actually looks flustered. And that does the Addison one where he was open in the end zone. Even watching it back, I'm like, I just can't make sense of it. Like, I'm still watching. I'm like, okay, I think maybe they expected a little bit something different here, but I'm still watching. Like, I don't understand why he didn't throw this ball. So it was like the weird spot where, like, typically you see a throw and he misses it, and all right, he missed it. But it felt like for quarters on end, it was like, this guy just feels like everything is like flying. Even when they would zoom in on his face and he's like, like, dude, did he have like a whole bunch of energy drinks or something? I mean, it did look like there was something wrong with him. I was like, this is insane. I'm like, is he normally like this? It was crazy. So it was a lot, but I don't think, I thought that it was a very unique plan. I wasn't sure, and I think what Glenn did well is he didn't overcomplicate it for the defense. He was like, let's just play fast out there. Obviously, they were pretty aggressive, played a ton of man, 67% of the time, second most on the season. But I thought what was so unique about that is usually that doesn't work against the Vikings. But in fairness, when going into the Vikings game, it's like, I don't think many things work against the Vikings. It's not like a lot of great plans, especially if Jones is going, there's really not a great plan. So it's like, if you take him out of the game, you give yourself a chance. But if you sit in zone, they kind of dice you up. And I think the biggest thing that he did was like, we're not going to give you easy throws. So at very least, you're going to have to earn it. It's like, all right, we'll be aggressive, but like on 2nd and 9, you're going to have to earn a pass downfield. We're not just going to give you the little check down for 8 and make everything manageable. So I just think they constantly put him in spots where they had to earn it. And it was less about Sam Darnold, like, can I find the right window? Can I be on time? And like reading the coverage. And it was more about like him having to just make a decision. Is that guy going to beat that guy? And I thought that was the simplicity of it. It was like, you're just having to decide whether or not he's going to beat him. And it was just the constant safety movement. It was like, all right, no, now he's on Justin Jefferson, so don't go to that guy. And I just think it jacked up all the timing from the jump, and it just never felt like they were able to get it back. Like that's why it felt flustered the whole time. So it was weird, but honestly, I don't think the Rams could play that style. So I think you'll put up a ton of points against the Rams. But man, yeah, that third drive that the second half drive to go 17-9 was everything because we didn't have our run game going. And if you felt the Montgomery miss not having him so early, it was like, okay, that was the difference.
Yeah.
Because I went back to the first Vikings game and I was like, yo, why, we did some weird stuff. We did a lot of inside runs with Monty. You go into this one, like they're kind of trying to do the same thing. Like the game felt the same. The results weren't. And it was like with Gibbs, it was like, it's not really popping. But then as the game rolled along, it broke open. It was like, okay, that's the difference though. He does things like that. So it took that drive where we had to kind of lean into Goff throwing the football and like big throws to big 2nd and 20 to put that touchdown up, to open it up. And then it kind of just rolled from there. So it was wild, one bar. I did not expect the game to go like that. I thought we'd be way better on defense than what the expectation was, but I didn't think it would go down like that. And like you said, the Van Ginkel dropped interception was everything because your defense, man, they did enough. I mean, in a game like this, I think most people would have thought this was enough. 2 turnovers and 31 points, you can win that football game. So for us, it was just huge. This was as Lions fans, this is what they needed. They needed this confidence builder that like, yo, the defense is still legit and they can get into these games where they can make plays, and they needed that as a team because the idea was they're going to have to score every time they get the ball to win the playoffs, and I think this proved that it's not the truth, but there's specific ways that they're going to have to play teams. So overall, one bar, this was great. I think we're going to see you in 2 weeks, man. I'm going to lay
Man,
out
I hope so. I hope so. I want the Lions, man. I want the Lions again.
No, honestly, no, I don't think you do. I mean,
I do.
Really hope
I do.
So? Okay.
I really do. I really do. But one guy I didn't even mention, Anzalone, man. Getting that dude back, that was pretty painful. I would have been fine with him sitting on another week. Not that probably made or break it, but that dude is an absolute beast. And I think he played damn near every snap. Like, yeah, we're going to see how much he plays. Dude was ultra the whole game.
Okay. Well, this isn't like a joke. I mean, did you feel the impact of Cashman in this game? Like, did you feel like it was?
No. And I was talking up Cashman for like, hey, Cashman, we didn't have him the first time around. He's the general of our defense. He's going to help with Gibbs. He's going to help, cover the whatever. He played worst game. It was the worst game he had. And that dude better show up against the Rams, man. He better show up against the Rams because all they do is those short-ass little passes to Puka and Cooper Kupp. Like, he's got to be in the middle because he did not show up against the Lions. Dude,
I loved the Alex Anzalone Hawkinson trash talk. I loved it because on the one play that Hawk, like, he kind of dropped it, was kind of missed too. Like Alex was like staring dude down. You watch it back, it's like, yeah, Alex got cooked. He got cooked on that play, but it was incomplete. And and I love that energy. It's like, all right, I got cooked, but you didn't catch it, so I won. It's like one of those, and it was like, this is from jump. I'm here for it. So I've loved the energies of the last few weeks, one bar. So if we get that energy again, I'm here for it. Real quick before we get out of here, just to kind of give a quick little update. You guys have games this weekend. Bass, I'll start with you, Philly. How are you feeling? Early thoughts on this one?
So there's a lot of like doom and gloom in Packerland. Not everyone, I wouldn't say everyone, but there's a lot of people in my chats or just on Twitter and whatnot, and they're all saying, oh, the Packers, they're one and done, like they're definitely not going to win this game, they're losing by 21, we don't deserve to be there. That's the softest shit I've heard. Like, you're in the playoffs, you're 11-win football team, second year under Jordan Love, like youngest football team to make the playoffs since the Packers last year. So like, as long as they're in it, there is a chance. And a lot of people are writing them off. And Philadelphia is a wonderful football team. And I'm not sitting here going, yeah, the Packers are definitely going to win. But this is a game where I think a lot of people are overlooking it and going, yeah, the Packers are going to get blown out. And when you look at some advanced metrics for the Green Bay Packers and some other things, in terms of DVOA, they're the 3rd overall in the NFL. 4th on offense, 7th on defense. The only other 2 teams to have top 10 DVOA on offense and defense are the Lions and the Ravens. So there's a lot of things. They're top 10 in the NFL on points per game allowed. Their defense has played a lot better than they did last year. And there's a lot of recency bias because it's like, yeah, they just played like shit the last 2 weeks. They lost to a 4-12 team, right? So a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, they're not going to win this game. But statistically, the Packers are a good football team, and they're better than they were last year, statistically, right? Now, will they have that same energy going into the Eagles game that they did going into Dallas, right? Like Dallas, a lot of the time chokes in the playoffs. So you could kind of look at that and go, yeah, it kind of makes sense, right? Whereas like the Eagles, they've been playing great football. They've made it. You know, they've had playoff wins in the past decade and whatnot. I really think the Packers do have a chance here. The one thing that I think it's going to be at is running the football and getting Josh Jacobs going early and not starting slow. The Packers continue to win the coin toss and continue to take the ball. They keep doing it, and I don't know why, because every time we end up punting and the other team scores points. So it's like, you know, what are we doing here? We're not only going down early, but we're also giving the other team the ball to start the second half. I think another thing that the Packers should be able to do well against the Eagles, well, first off, their defense is amazing. Their pass defense is first in the NFL. And a lot of guys like Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, two rookies that have been playing their asses off, and two guys that have excelled since week one, since the last time we saw the Eagles. They don't get much pressure. So their pressure percentage on the year is 17.9%, or 28th best. And their blitz percentage, they don't blitz as much either, right, is 19.1%, 27th in the league. And where the Packers, match up well against not a lot of pressure, not a lot of blitzing, is their offensive line has been incredible this year in pass protection, right? Second least sacks to only the Bills. So I think if the Packers can create enough time, in the pocket, kind of similar to how the Lions do, where they have a lot of, developing route combinations and whatnot, and play action and golf, even the Vikings outside of last game, a lot of the time Darnold has a lot of time in that pocket, and guys will get open if you have enough time. So I think if the Packers do that, the Eagles may have a number one pass defense, but if you have enough time, you'll find guys open. I'm excited because I'm going to this game. I'm from the area, so that's always hype. I'm always going to believe in my team until the end. Anyone that's, saying they're going to get blown out and they don't deserve to be here, the doom and gloom, then don't watch the game. I guess then just don't watch the game if you don't really want to see it. But I think the keys for the Packers, man, is getting Josh Jacobs going. Edgerrin Cooper having a lights out game. Saquon Barkley, it's not about stopping him, it's about containing him. Like, you're not going to stop Saquon Barkley. But if you somewhat contain him, which the Packers have done a good job against some good running teams. Dion, the last time that we played the Lions, I think he has like 94 total or something like that. Nick's gone. He's out.
Yeah, Nick didn't want to hear it.
He didn't want to hear it.
He didn't want to hear the blasphemy. Just go ahead.
Yeah. If they could try to stop the run, and do a decent job at it, and hopefully start the game like they did last time against the Eagles, but actually convert, right? Last game against the Eagles, 2 straight turnovers, right? An interception, a fumble, 6 points to show for it. That was their problem, right? And then finally, I'm interested to see Jalen Hurts, what his, status is. I know he's going to play, but he hasn't played a football game in 3 weeks. And the last time he played a full football game, they struggled against Carolina at home. So there's some similar things there. Like the last full game of Jalen Hurts, they struggled against Carolina. Last full game of this Packers team, they struggled against the Bears. They lost against the Bears. So it's not any given Sunday, man. And, it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a very big, it's going to be a tough one. Like if the Eagles come and play their A game, they're going to win. Straight and simple, plain and simple. We have to try to contain the run, maybe force a couple turnovers, and we have to be on our A game.
I like it. And that thing was running on NFL Network, and I tuned in. I was like, man, this was a game. I think y'all got a chance. That's all I'm going to say. I think this is a real shot to win this one. I think the spread says it at the beginning. One bar.
Exactly.
Real quick, Vikings-Rams, you a little bit worried about Stafford, I understand. And do you think it's a lot different than last time you guys played this team? Where are you at with this one?
Stafford, the Rams, aside from the Eagles, are the one team I really just didn't want to play. I think the Rams are a damn good football team. And Stafford, like the dude doesn't get right. We know Stafford. I don't got to ramble on about him. And weirdly, he doesn't get sacked. So we didn't sack him once in the first game. He's only been sacked 28 times this year. And like I said before, they like those quick passes, and those opposing teams can get those off against the Vikings and make some plays. So Nakua, Cooper Kupp, it was pretty painful the last time we played, and we got to shut those guys down. But I think the Vikings offense can take advantage of that secondary. The Rams, I like their front seven. A couple of rookies are damn good on that team. So their defense, I think, is a little bit underrated. But when you get to that secondary, they give up some yards, and they give up some yards on the ground as well. They got to stick to the run this week. Last week, aside from Cam Akers' long run, we didn't do jack on the ground at all. They got to run the ball. They got to set the play action. Sam Darnold's got to be very comfortable back there. We're going to find out in the first 2 series when Sam Darnold comes out which way this game is going to go. It's that simple. I don't want to say this is up to Sam Darnold, but it's up to Sam Darnold. He's got to come out and win this game. He's got to bounce back after last week. Our defense, I think will be good enough to get the dub and put some points on the board. But Rams are no joke, man. Maybe it's just me, but they scare me a little bit, and they already beat us. So we'll see. I said this, Dion, to you last week. First time we played the Rams, we didn't have Cashman or Hawkinson. It's going to be a whole different squad, baby. And that backfired. So I can't even use that one. If we played the Rams 10 times, I think the Vikings would win. I think we'd win 6 times out of 10. Let's just hope it's one of those. It's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be close. It's going to be good, though. I think the Vikings do win, though.
I'm fired up. O-line, D-line. Like, I feel like you guys can cook that back end. But that O-line, I think, is shaky, one bar. I personally think it's a little shaky. And I think the Rams have the guys to do it. It's just, can that back end hold up? I don't think they can. So I think y'all win that one. But anyways, chat, we appreciate y'all joining us, man. Nick didn't want to be here, so he's out. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Look,
No game preview.
On
No
to the
game
offseason.
preview.
No game preview. No game preview. I don't know what the future plans are, but I assume that at very least next week we'll be back on Wednesday because we got to recap the playoffs, and then we'll be on to our previews for that. So appreciate y'all joining. Shout out to BetUS. YouTube 150 is the code. And shout out to my man Ed with the 2 199s. I appreciate that. We're taking it right to Taco Bell, man. And we're going to get out of here. We'll see y'all next week. We're out.